heavy breathing. A bit more hairspray in my hair. And the mirror needs a clean. Morning, morning. Right. It's my burglar alarm. Put that down. Yeah, it's still a mess in here because I've pretty much been outside in the actual library stock taking the whole time. Where did I put my water? Oh, it's there. It's fine. So yes, how far have I got? So the way the library works, that's a really small section. That's quite a big section. Small section. Big, 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 big. Oh, not so big. Massive. That's nearly a whole wall. 900s. So today I'd like to get all the 6s and 7s done. So that will bring me around. I'll show you. So right now I am halfway down that bay. So I'd like to be all the way around here, not that shelf, that's my little Māori collection. I'll do that separate. And all the way around to here. But there. But if I have time, and I still have energy, yesterday I got sore, I'll do the 800s as well. And then the 900s start there, they go there, it's a pretty empty one. All my biographies here, and they run all the way down to here, to that shelf there. And then the fiction. Fiction's easy because they're not heavy books. It's just the handling, that's all. Once upon a time, when I first started this job, and I wasn't that unwell, I was pumped through it. I had it done like 3 days. But you do what you can do. Right, so we're going to put the air conditioning on. Would you like my little display? And we'll just get the edge off, and then we'll turn that off a little bit later because it'll get a bit stuffy in here. So yes. So yeah, in effect, I have done that shelf there, all that wall across to there. So yes. Right, time for a nice cup of tea and a wee bit of knitting on my cow. I did none when I got home last night. And we'll carry on with my day. Noon. Been a bit quiet today, haven't I? So what am I up to? I've been home for a couple of hours. Done a bit of tidying. Done a massive amount of admin stuff for our business. just made myself a nice cup of tea, and I'm going through all my homespun and just recording stuff, and what I've discovered is that I thought I'd remember some of the colours I used, and I had to really go through. I was like, oh, you idiot, won't do that again. Yeah, so I've just dried and done these two, and then I'm going through all the other ones and I'm putting little labels on them with their measurements. Their measurements, and I keep looking at my face, which makes me look that way. And the weights and stuff. So there's a few batches I haven't done yet, but I'd like to record them all in my little leather notebook. So that's what I'm doing. I'm watching Ellie from This Little Wonderful Life, and yeah, Jess is going to cook tonight, so that's good. So at least I got that little bit of stuff out of the way. Oh, and I've that pink blouse, I pressed that again, and I've decided that I'm going to do some top stitching around the neckline because I'm not happy with the way it sits. In fact, I might try and do a little, take it in a little bit up here, because it's kind of bulging like that. So I feel like if I take it in at that seam up there, that might make it more flat. So I'll see how I go with that. I also washed and dried and pressed that little white blouse that I got from that second-hand shop. So that looks really nice as well. So roll on the warm weather. So who knows what we're going to have for tea tonight? No idea. It'll be a mystery. You see my apron? I love this apron. It was a free pattern and it's so handy. You don't have to worry about getting stuff down the front of your clothes. It's got a handy little pocket. Doesn't tie, it's just the straps just cross over. So yeah, it's really good. Been a funny day today. It's been sunny, but the breeze has been really crisp, so haven't really wanted to take any layers off. Yeah, okay. I'll let you go. I'll update you on what the food looks like. Okay. This is dinner Jess made. So it's rice, capsicum, feta. What was the other thing? Corn. And corn. And then the chicken is all spicy with tomato. And there's definitely cayenne pepper in there, because when she was frying it off, we both nearly died from pepper spray. And then she put a little bit of the juice, the tomatoey juice, into the rice. It is so yummy. It is absolutely delicious. Always notice it when you're being recorded. This skirt is from a pattern by So Liberated, and it's called the Estuary skirt. So it just comes up, it's buttoned, and then it's got elastic at the back. Oops, didn't show you that very well. And this was my very first top-down jersey that I ever knitted, and that was last year I knit that. And this is the Ilha, I-L-H-A, by Tetabish. Yeah. So, ready for the day. I'm going to grab a shawl though, because it's cold. It's only going to get to 14 degrees. Great. We'll get there. Back in the office. Don't know whether you can see me properly there. Let's just turn that like that. Hopefully that doesn't fall over. Good morning. It's a cold, wet day outside and quite windy as well. So we'll see how we go. I was having a bit of a laugh at some of the comments about my cutting fingers story. Thought I'd add a couple more stories. I am quite accident prone on the left side of my body. So for your entertainment, now this is a caveat. If you are wanting to get into sewing and you're a bit afraid, don't let this next story put you off, because I know lots of people who sew and they've never done anything like this before. So when my son was about 7, I was sewing him some cool curtains for his bedroom. I think they had spacemen on them or something. And he had come up to me while I was sewing these curtains on the machine, and he was asking, Mummy, you know, what does that do and what does this do? And so I took the time to explain to him what the different dials and knobs on the machine do. And when we'd finished, I went to resume sewing, and as I put my hands down to touch the work, I'd already put my foot on the pedal. And this finger went into the path of the needle, and for me it just sounded like it just went ka-dunk, and I pulled it away and I looked at it and sort of went like this. But in reality, when we got up to the hospital, we discovered that the needle had gone in, hit the bone, broken 3 times in this finger, so right there. So they pulled out what they could, then they x-rayed it, saw that there was more in there, and so they cut all this nail right back there and cut into the pad of my finger to extract the rest. Now my job at the time, my primary role was a book processor at the town library, and that you use your hands, so I was buggered. It was so painful, it just throbbed and throbbed and throbbed. And we had our old book security system, we had these massive magnets built into the desk, into the issue desk, that you'd roll the book over when you've issued them to take the charge off the security tape. Every time I would run my hand over that, for the whole time I continued to work there, this finger tingled. And to this day, it's still very tender to do that. So that's one. And the other thing I did on this side of my body was 5 years ago. Evan and I went to Rarotonga, and I'd gone for this epic walk. I decided that I was going to walk from our resort to Muri Beach, which is one of the main sort of shopping areas in the lower half of the island. And it only seemed to take like 2 minutes on scooter, but apparently it's a lot longer when you're walking. And back then I was walking a lot more anyway, so I was fitter. But I was wearing a summer dress, jandals, and the jandals had quite a rough texture on the sole, and that was fine, but my feet it took me about 30 minutes to walk there, and my feet started to get quite sore on the texture of these jandals. So once I'd done my shopping, sent my postcards, because that's why I went. I thought I'd do some gift shopping. I thought, well, I'll walk back along the beach, and then I can just walk with my bare feet on the sand. Wow, my feet were so red from these jandals that the sand's coarser than what we have at our beach here. So even the sand felt like it was like sandpaper on my feet. So I ended up sort of alternating between jandals and bare feet, jandals and bare feet, jandals and bare feet. Then I got to a point where I actually couldn't continue on the beach, because there was a creek running out And on the other side of the creek was just massive boulders around the headland. And so there was no beach there. All the water was right up to that. So I was like, right, I have to try and get my way back up to the road. So I'm wearing a long floaty summer dress, and I've got 2 shopping bags and, you know, a side strap handbag on. So I decided, well, I'll follow the creek. So I followed the creek up, and sure enough, there was a big culvert and the bridge for the road. And the culvert was probably about 9 foot high, and it had a rock wall. So I scaled the wall and made my way back up to the road, and then proceeded to walk the road for a wee while until I saw another beach access. I was so hot, so tired, my feet were really sore. And so the last part of the journey, I walked along the beach, and I was starting to get a bit fatigued, and the sand was quite soft, and I was like sinking into the sand. And I remember just looking and thinking, I think that's the corner before our resort. And there was this big black volcanic rock in my path, and I went to step over it, but I obviously just didn't step high enough. And I caught my second toe from the big toe, the one next to the big toe on my left foot. I caught the tip of that on that rock and stubbed my toe. And I looked down, I was like, so much pain. And all I could see was blood. So I washed it in the sea, and then I came back up and it was just pouring blood. So I just didn't look at it, and I just kept walking. By the time I got back to our chalet, the toe was like about that big, covered and choked in sand and blood. And Evan looked at me and he was like, what have you done? And I said, oh, I don't know, I've hurt my toe, I don't want to look at it. So he washed it off under a tap. And he's like, mate, you've taken the whole toenail off. Like the whole toenail was ripped completely out, gone. So he went to the office and got a first aid kit, and he dressed it and everything. And we only had one more day in Raro, and then we were going home. It was so sore. And then when we got home, Mum said to me, I think you should go and get that checked. You know, wound in a foreign country, you don't know. So I went to the doctor, and they x-rayed it, and I'd also broken it. And I used to have to wear, in the job I was in at the time, I used to have to wear work boots with steel caps. I couldn't even get my foot near that thing. Oh, that was the same job that I had when I did my thumb, and my cousin was my boss. He must have thought that I was an absolute. So there's another couple of entertaining stories for you. Yeah, just my left side. I think I'm just really, I don't know. What do you think? But anyway, I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. I'm actually going to come back here and have my cup of tea because they are running a teacher training meeting in the staff room first thing. And I don't really want to hang out with that. So I will come back here. And I've got a teacher aide friend that usually has a couple with me in the morning. I'll see if she wants to come over and have a cup of tea with me. So I'll catch you later. So as you can see, the other day or yesterday, day before, I pinned around here thinking I would top stitch. Now, if you can see how that's bulging there and that's like that, it's actually like that when you wear it. So my thinking is, let me just show you. If you can see across here, which is where the facings join and the front and back panels join. I've done a stitch in the ditch across here, and that helps keep the facing down. I'm going to unpick that, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unfold it, and I'm going to take this bit in, and I'll show you, and that should pull it so it's not so bulgy. We'll see. Now obviously I wouldn't be wearing it with the skirt, but how do I get it? I'll try and get it so you can kind of see what I was talking about, the pucker here, but it's actually not as bad. Hang on, I'll go down and then angle it that way, as what it was when I first tried it on. So it looks a lot better, so I'm quite happy with that. I think that'll be fine. It'll be nice with another flowy skirt or just a pair of jeans. It actually makes me look like I've actually got boobies. This is the dream of the flat-chested woman. So here we go. You see, I still haven't mastered this mirror selfie palaver. That's quite nice. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That'll do me. Not so much work, and then it's just a little bit longer at the back. Wish I could show you the back. I don't think I can. Can I? Oh yeah, a little bit. There you go. So now I'm going to have a go. Well, not have a go. I'm going to dye this fibre, and I just want to get up real close so you can see. You can see it's mainly white. It's grey, but it's got lots of like little black hairs running through it, so it gives it a lovely silvery grey look. And I want to over dye it with I just want to make a really weak dye wash so that I get a very, very pale colours to contrast with some of the brighter and more vibrant and dark colours when I knit this shawl, which I'm sure I've probably made way too much yarn so far, but you can use it for all sorts, can't you? Yeah, and I just love the experimentation. So I've already put a little bit of citric acid in the bottom, and I've put some in this water, and I'm just going to soak it in here for an hour or two, and then I'll choose my colours, and yeah, we'll see how we go. I'll show you what it looks like. So here we go. I've got a very weak solution of purple, vermilion, Aztec gold and teal, because I only want it to be really, really pale. At the moment I'm watching Kia from Kia Spod podcast. If you haven't seen her, she's such a cool lady. She's from Sweden, and I find it really interesting because she spins as well, and you learn a little bit from her when you're watching. And she often shoots her podcast in this little glass house. It's so lovely. So lovely. Oh, look at that. I really like that. I'm going to go and write these down now, because you know, you always think you'll remember, but last night I had a hell of a time when I was writing things down and I was trying to remember. I actually had to look at the dye pots and go, oh yes, I used that one with that, and I don't know where my head was at. That's nice. That's really nice and pale. I think that'll be good. it'll be good. I've got no idea what we're going to have for tea tonight. It's just about taking all the dye. A little bit left. No idea what I'm going to have for tea tonight. It's Friday night. I can't be bothered. We've actually got a public holiday in New Zealand this weekend. So this Monday we have off. It is our Labour weekend. And we don't really do much. I mean, Evan's flat tack working. There's a wine and food festival that we have in Gisborne. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. Over Labour weekend, but it's just not really something that I'm interested in, really. Just, yeah, done it once years ago and I'm not doing it again. I am working on my NCAL. I'm nearly at the end of Clue 1 and Clue 3 arrived in my inbox this morning. Yeah. So yes, what am I going to do? Oh, I might light the fire. It's cold. It's really cold. I angle the camera this way. You can't see my double chin. Yeah, it's really, really bitter and cold. My feet are cold. My fingers are cold. Caught that yawn again. So I might light the fire. I'm wondering, do any of you watch Paula from Stitched by Mrs. D? If you haven't, you need to watch her, and particularly her vlog. She is really, really funny. I started watching her a few months ago. It was still summer over in the UK. And she was filming her podcast in her nightie because she was so hot. She's really, really funny. And like, she always rubbishes herself. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is really rubbish," but she's really, really funny. So like, she does this thing where she takes her dogs for a walk in the morning while she accompanies her daughter to a corner so her daughter can meet up with a friend and walk to school. And she had noticed that she's like always seeing like underpants and just different items of clothes on the road. And she's always like thinking, well, how did they get there? And so after that, like, we're all commenting, "Oh yeah, you know, keep showing us the clothes." And so she's done all that, these little tours like, "Oh, this is where I find lots of stuff on the road." It's just really, really funny. And it's got me to the point that when I'm driving to work, if I see something that looks like clothing on the road, I'm thinking, "Oh, I wonder what that is." And I wonder how it got there. Honestly, she's such a cracker. She's a natural comedian, and I don't think she doesn't really realise how funny she is. She's a really sweet lady. She loves animals, and yeah, so that's Paula, and she's Stitched by Mrs. D. She is really, really funny. Well, I think she's funny anyway. Yesterday she's saying, she goes, "I'm just going to," what did she say? "Oh, I normally wear a nightie," she said, "but such and such is out. And you know, I'm just going to put some pajama pants on and a top because I just feel like spreading my legs really wide and just sitting down." And then she started to laugh because she realised what it sounded like. But she just rolled with it and then said, "Oh, I'm going now before I say anything else wrong." But I could really relate to that feeling of just really wanting to just go, "Ugh," and then put everything, you know, just flop. But she's honestly a real character, so you have to go and watch her. So I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for tea. But it's Friday night, so we can just chill out, I think. I might Maybe I'll do homemade pizzas. Wonder how many wraps I've got in there. Wrap pizzas are good, like if you use them on wheat wraps, because they're kind of like a thin and crispy base. So maybe I'll do that. I don't really know what else to say. I think I'll leave it there. See you again soon.